How much does it cost? Yeah, g'day, mate. So today's video is just really short, explaining the costs involved in getting a visa to go to Australia. And specifically today, we're talking about the 482 class working visa. So to start with, the visa itself, the 482 visa government costs is 3,000, around 3,200 Australian dollars. The length of the visa is usually for 2 years, extendable, but the visa length is actually up to the employer. It's what the employer offers. It could be 1 year, it could be 2 years, it could be 4 years. But most employers will offer that visa for 2 years, right? And like I said, you can extend that visa, or you can then transition through to permanent residency. Now, apart from the visa cost, you're going to need a migration lawyer to prepare and lodge that visa. Generally, that's going to cost around 2,000 Australian dollars. Now, once the visa has been lodged, immigration will request for you to do a medical. They'll send you a list of authorized clinics that you can go to do a medical. And medicals, the cost will vary depending on your the institute or the hospital you go to, but that's going to cost around 350 to 500 Australian dollars is generally what I find. And then once your visa is approved, obviously you've got an airfare. Now, the cost of the airfare, you can look on Google and work out how much it's going to cost you to go to Australia. But just a tip, if you are looking at airfares, the direct flights are always the most expensive. You'd be wanting to look at coming into Australia with a stop off along the way, stopping in Singapore or KL, transferring to another flight and coming into Australia. Now, additional costs, depending on your nationality, and your occupation, there might be additional documents needed before you could even look at applying for a job or a visa in Australia. So, for example, if your nationality requires you, or your educational background requires you to do an English exam, like, IELTS or PTE or OET, those exams cost, again, it depends on where you do it and which institution, but I think they're around 450 Australian dollars to do that exam. And then those results are valid for 3 years. Now, again, depending on your occupation and your nationality, you might also need a skills assessment certificate. That could be like TRA or VETSS. Now, there's two different options to do those skills assessments, and the options will vary depending on what requirements you have, and if you're able to provide videos showing your work skills. So those skills assessments for the tradesmen and skilled workers could be anything from around 3,100 Australian dollars if you were to do it yourself and you had good documents. If you needed assistance and you weren't able to show videos of your skills at work, that could cost around maybe $7,000 to complete that. Now, other skills assessments, for engineers and professionals, they could be anything from $1,000 to $3,000, depending on the institute you apply for that skills assessment with. Now, outside of that, let's say you're a healthcare professional, let's say you're a nurse or a midwife, then your requirements are a lot more expensive. You would need to go through and complete an AHPRA and OSCE process. And again, that would depend on your training background, the documents you're able to provide, and how competent you are at passing the exam. But the lowest cost for that would be around 7,500 Australian dollars to get through the AHPRA and OSCE process. Now, there are some other ways to get the nursing qualifications cheaper, coming through Singapore and New Zealand. You can research that yourself online, or if you're already accredited in, like the UK or New Zealand, things are cheaper and easier. But anyway, if you need assistance, if you're a nurse, you need assistance getting accreditation, One of my workmates can help out with that if needed. What else? Then, if you're coming out of the Philippines, you need to get the OEC or go through a POEA agency. Without the 1 month thing, OECs we can do for about 1,000 Australian dollars. Now, if you are qualified for a visa, if you've already got your documents, your certificates, and you qualify for a 482 visa, and if you're unable to find an employer, if you need assistance finding the employer and getting a job offer, there is assistance for that. That's usually around 3,000 Australian dollars. Now, when it comes to costs, if you needed assistance with the employer, that sort of fee would be invoiced or charged after the visa has been approved. But for all the other expenses I've explained earlier, that would be prior to visa lodgement. So yeah, hopefully that explains the basics. If you need help with the skills assessment, let me know. If you've got an employer in Australia offering you a job that doesn't know how to do the visa or how to get the company accredited, same thing, feel free to share my details. Otherwise, look at my profile, look at the different jobs that I've got available for this coming year, and there are other visa tips there. Have a good day, mate. Cheers.